Good morning, students. So today's session we are going to discuss regarding the first topic is regulation of respiration. Okay, regulation of respiration. So we know the one respiratory cycle includes two events, right? So one is inspiration, another one is expiration. So these two process is going on automatically, right? Once inspiration is over, automatically respiration happens. So these kind of this activities, we could say it is rhythmic activity, right? It is known as rhythmic activity, rhythmic activity, right? Okay, so let us see what is controlling this rhythmic activity and what are the things is helping for this rhythmic activity of this respiration. Okay, so here and two control is there to regulate this respiration. So the first one we could say it is neural control and the second one is chemical control. So of course, hope you understood. Neural control means so the respiration is controlled by the nervous system. So that is known as neural control. Okay. Chemical control in the sense chemicals. So when we talk about this respiration, surely we will talk about the two major gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide, right? Oxygen and carbon dioxide. So these two chemicals. So how these two chemicals will be controlled? So that is known as chemical control, right? So first we can talk about this neural control. So the neural control, there is three neural control center or respiratory center is present in this major area brain, right? So there is three respiratory center is present in the brain, right? Do you know about this divisions of the brain? So brain is divided into three divisions, that is forebrain, midbrain as well as hindbrain, right? So the hindbrain region, so forebrain we know it consists of cerebrum, right? And midbrain consists of this corpora quadrigemina and hindbrain consists of cerebellum, pons varoli and medulla oblongata. Am I right? Pons varoli, cerebellum, pons varoli as well as medulla oblongata. And especially this regulation center is present in this and hindbrain region. Have we got hindbrain region? And there is three center is there. Among that, the first two center is present in the medulla oblongata. So the neural control is present in two regions, but three center is there. Do you get me? So the first region is medulla oblongata of the hindbrain. The second region is pons varoli of the hindbrain. Okay, and medulla oblongata consists of two centers. Okay, control centers, and pons varoli consists of one center. Okay, and the center which is present in the medulla oblongata is inspiratory center as well as expiratory center. So the inspiration controlled by this center which is present in the medulla oblongata. Meanwhile, expiration also controlled by the expiratory center which is present in the medulla oblongata. Okay, and pneumotaxic center. So this is the center, it is present in this pons varoli. Okay, so two regions but three center is there. Have we got? Okay, and let us see what is the role of each. So inspiratory center is controlling the normal inhalation, breathing in. So inspiratory center is responsible for normal inhalation. Expiratory center, during inspiration, the expiration will be inactive. Am I right? That's why there is this inspiration process is going on. Am I right? So during inspiration, the expiratory center will be inactive. Okay, and moreover, when we learn about this mechanism of breathing, we said one differences between this inspiratory center and the expiration is inspiration is the active process, meanwhile expiration is the passive process. So inspiration process only we need this energy, but expiration automatically happens. It is a passive process. Okay, so anyhow, why should we have to mention this point here? During inspiration, expiratory center is quite calm. Understand? It will be inactive. So what is the role of this expiratory center? This expiratory center functions during forceful expiration. When we do one deep expiration, this expiratory center functions. Have we got? Okay. And let us go for the third center. It is pneumotaxic center. It is present in the pons varoli, and this is responsible during this, exercise. During exercise, when we need heavy breathing, right? Inspiration and expiration. So during this process, this and pneumotaxic center is helping. Okay, and it is increasing the breathing rate. That's why. So of course we know during in exercise the breathing rate increase. For during these conditions, this pneumotaxic center is helping. Do you get me? Okay. And let us go for the next one. This is chemical control. Fine, chemical control. So chemical control means there is two regions which is related to the heart is responsible for this chemical control. Let us see how it happens. So the two regions are aortic arc as well as carotid artery. Aortic arc is present at the base of this aorta, right? Aorta. So aorta is the largest artery arising from this left ventricle, right? So at the base of this aortic arc, at the base of this aorta, this aortic arc is present. Okay. Carotid artery is present at this base of this carotid sinus. So carotid artery is nothing else. So this is the artery which is branching from this aorta, and this is supplying the oxygenated blood to the brain and this face region, to the head regions. That is this carotid artery. Okay. So what is the role of this two for during this to regulate this respiration? Let us see. Okay. So first we can talk about this major two gases, that is one is oxygen and another one is carbon dioxide, right? So let us talk about the carbon dioxide first. So when the carbon dioxide level is increasing, these two regions will be stimulated. When this partial pressure, hope you know about the partial pressure, right? So when the the concentration of this carbon dioxide. So when the partial pressure is increasing, these two regions will be stimulated. Okay. So when it is stimulated, the partial pressure will stimulate these two regions. When it's stimulated, it will stimulate this respiratory tract to eliminate this carbon dioxide from the respiratory tract. Do you get me? So that is the role of this aortic organ, carotid artery. Okay. And when we talk about this oxygen, partial pressure of this oxygen, here the stimulation will be very limited. Why? Because carbon dioxide is harmful to the body. That's why it has to be eliminated soon. But oxygen, when the oxygen level is increased, of course it will be consumed or utilized by these cells. So to elimination of this oxygen is not necessary, excess is necessary, but that's why the stimulation process will be very low. But it is not necessary to eliminate it is very soon. Okay, so that's why the stimulation process will be very less. Have we got? So inspiration as well as this expiration is one of the rhythmic activity, right? So this is controlled by two systems. One is neural control as well as the chemical control. Have we got? Fine. So let us talk about this next topic. It is problems in oxygen transport. So the previous class we discussed regarding this transportation of gases, right? So there we said oxygen transportation as well as the carbon dioxide transportation, right? So of course we know oxygen is transported. Both will be transported by the blood circulation only. So how the oxygen will be transported? Oxygen will bind with this hemoglobin, especially in the heme. So every hemoglobin molecules can transport 4 oxygen molecules that we have discussed in the previous class. Am I right? Okay. So listen. Here they explained about the two extreme situations, for example, we will do many activities. For example, we may take a rest, or we used to run, we used to, do exercise. So many activities will be there. As per that, the oxygen consumption and this inspiration and the expiratory process will be adjusted inside the body, right? And here they talk about these two extreme situations, when this oxygen level is very low or when the oxygen level is very high. What are the changes may happen inside the body? So that is here only oxygen, not about the carbon dioxide. So that is the topic here, problems in oxygen transport in extreme situations. Have you got? So first they talk about this, the first one, when this oxygen level is low. So when will be the oxygen level low? Usually they say when the person travels from, above the sea level. When the persons travel above the sea level, right? And around 8,000 feet. So when they climb up on the mountain, so mountain regions is above the sea level, we could say, the atmospheric pressure as well as the partial pressure of oxygen reduce. So when we go above the sea level, atmospheric pressure as well as partial pressure of this oxygen, the pressure of this oxygen, that is known as partial pressure, right? So the atmospheric pressure as well as this partial pressure of this oxygen will reduce. Okay, so when it reduces, the person will get certain symptoms. So that sickness or symptoms are known as acute mountain sickness. So shortly they have written it as AMC, acute mountain sickness. Acute in the sense it is not a gradual process, onset process. When they climb up on the mountain, they will get it. It is not a problem for them actually, understands? So they will get AMC, acute mountain sickness. Okay, the problem, why do they get these symptoms? The problem is, of course, when they go above this mountain level, the oxygen level will reduce. So the hemoglobin cannot combine with the oxygen because the oxygen level is very low there. Understand? So that's why oxygen and the hemoglobin binding capacity will reduce. So the blood cannot take the oxygen. So the oxygen level, oxygen demand will increase in the body. Have you got? Sorry. So that's why the persons will get certain symptoms. So what are the symptoms will be there? Headache will be there, shortness of breath will be there. What do you mean shortness of breath? So the respiration and the inspiration may go very fast. Okay, so there is shortness of breath, nausea, vomiting sensation will be there, dizziness will be there. So these are all the symptoms they used to get, right? Because of this poor binding of this oxygen with the hemoglobin. Have you got? So to manage this situation, another one organ is going to help for this one. So that is the kidney. Understand? That is kidney. So what is the role of this kidney? The kidney will produce a substance that is known as erythropoietin. Erythropoietin. So this erythropoietin moves towards this bone marrow. It goes towards this bone marrow to induce the production of RBC. So bone marrow is a site where from the blood cells will be produced, right? So this erythropoietin will induce this bone marrow to produce these RBC cells. So these RBC cells will be produced. So when the number of RBC cells is increased, of course it can bind with this oxygen. Oxygen level is low now, but more RBC is there. So it can bind with the oxygens. Understands? So that's adjustment of this body for in one acute situation. It is not permanent, one acute situation is known as hematopoietic adjustment. Hematopoietic adjustment. Have you got? So this is a situation when the person is moving above the sea level, about 8,000 feet. Okay. And now this opposite situation, when the persons move below the sea level, what happens there, right? So when the persons move below the sea level, surely the situation may, indirect position, I mean, here this atmospheric pressure and the partial pressure of this oxygen will increase. The partial pressure of this oxygen will increase. So when the person moves downwards towards this inside the sea, so the overall surrounding fully the oxygen level is reduced. So the pressure is increased now. I'm sorry, oxygen level is increased, pressure also increased. So this is leading to this, compressing this lungs there. So when the lungs is compressed, this capacity or the size of this lungs will reduce. Do you understand? Because surrounding fully the heavy pressure is there. So it will compress these lungs. So lung size will reduce. So when the capacity or the lung size is reduced, automatically we know the pressure will increase. Alveolar pressure will increase. Right? So the persons will get this lot of air again. Right? So they get the tendency to collect this lot of air. So when they collect this air, they will consume, along with this air, they consume this lot of nitrogen now. So because the demand increase, so they will consume this lot of nitrogen. Right? So this nitrogen level in the blood increase. The nitrogen level increase. So this situation is known as nitrogen narcosis. Nitrogen narcosis is one of this important question. Right? What is nitrogen narcosis? Right? So when the person is moving below the sea level, the pressure, atmosphere, this water pressure and with the partial pressure of this oxygen also increase. So it is leading to this reduction in this lung size. So the persons may get the tendency to take this lot of air, along with this they will consume lot of nitrogen. So the blood nitrogen level increase. That situation is known as nitrogen narcosis. Okay, so what happens there? Immediately the persons will dive above the sea level. The persons will dive above the sea level immediately. Right? That situation is known as bends or decompression. Bends or decompression. They will come out of this water surface or sea level to eliminate this nitrogen, excess of nitrogen. So that situation is known as bends or decompression. Do you get me? So they can ask what is bends or what is decompression. So the persons will dive above the sea level very immediately, quickly to eliminate this excess of nitrogen is known as bends or decompression. Okay, so here when this nitrogen, if they do not leave it, what happens there? They will get some other trouble. That is, inside this blood circulation, the air bubbles may form. So if the air bubble size is smaller in size, it don't be make such a troubles. But if this bubble size is increased, it will block the blood vessels. Right? So the circulation will be blocked, or we could say it will compress this minute blood vessels. So it may lead to some other problems, like it may lead to the stroke maybe, or it may lead to joint pain or muscle pain. Right? Even it may lead to neurological problems. So those problems may occur because of this bends or decompression. Have you got? And especially these problems may occur for this scuba divers. Scuba divers, have you seen? Those peoples will get this this kind of this defects. Have you got? Okay, so that's all about this problems in oxygen transport during certain extreme situations. The first one is above the sea level, the second one is below this sea level. Have you got? So let us see about the next one. It is disorders of respiratory system. Disorders of respiratory system. So what are the disorders may occur in the respiratory system? So the reasons may be environmental. Environment may be the reason. Of course, we know we are living in this polluted environment. So this environment may cause so many diseases to the body, right? So environment may be one of the reason, cause. Occupational reason. Occupational means the working site. As per the site where the person's work also may cause some diseases. That is occupational reason is one of this reason. Personal reason. Personal means the personal habit of one individual may lead to some diseases. That is personal reason. Social factors. When we move among these peoples, so some kind of this diseases may spread from these peoples. So those is that reasons we could say it's the social factors. So environmental factor, occupational factor, personal factors and the social factors also the reason to get these diseases, right? And here we can talk about certain diseases or disorders which is related to this respiratory system. Okay. The first one is asthma. Of course, it is a well-known disease and it is occurring in this respiratory tract. Here this problem is narrowing and inflammation in bronchi and bronchioles. Do you know what is bronchi? So the trachea will be there, right? So especially the trachea. So this is the trachea, right? The trachea will branch as a bronchi, right? And it is enclosed by lungs. So here it will branch as a bronchioles. So many branches will be there. That is known as bronchioles. So finally to end with this alveoli, air sacs known as alveoli, right? So here this bronchi and the further division is known as bronchioles. So this bronchi and the bronchioles becomes narrow. It becomes narrow. So narrow in the sense the wide will reduce, the width will reduce. So the oxygen supply, or air transportation may block the air. Understand? That is the problems here. So it may cause difficulty in breathing because air supply is blocked because of this narrow. Have you got it? The size is reduced now, and so that is they will get this breathing problem. They may stress a lot to breathe. Have you got? That is known as asthma, right? And these persons will get allergic reaction with some particles, especially we could say dust. Even if there is a dust, they will get allergy, right? And this problem may increase. Pollen grains, some kind of the food, and certain drugs which we consume, or certain kind of this food items, fishes or and so on. So these things, not for everyone, for these kind of this persons, it may lead to allergic reaction and the symptoms may increase further, right? So that is regarding this asthma. And the second one is emphysema. Emphysema in the sense widening of alveoli. So here we narrow, we said, but widening is opposite for this one. So here the alveoli becomes wide. It becomes the size will increase. Even it may lead to breakdown of this wall of this alveoli. So this alveolar wall may break down sometimes. So when alveolar size is reduced, when it break down, what happens there? The number of alveoli will reduce. So the size of this lungs also reduce. So the oxygen transportation or air transportation will be blocked there. There will be the struggle. Have you got? So when the alveoli burst, number of alveoli reduce, automatically the size of this lungs also reduce. So that condition is known as emphysema. Okay. So the major reason for this problem is cigarette smoking, right? So this is breaking even the wall of this alveoli. Okay. So that's why it is affecting the gas exchange also. Because alveoli is a site where there is a gas exchange is going on, right? So it is affecting the gas exchange. That condition is known as emphysema, right? Okay. And the next one is this bronchitis. Bronchitis means inflated bronchi. Inflated bronchi. So inflated means it stretch. The bronchi will stretch. So what is bronchi? There is a lungs, trachea. This is bronchi. So this bronchi will stretch both the sides, right? So when it stretch, so here the condition is bronchi is stretching. So that condition is known as bronchitis. Okay, and the reason behind this also cigarette smoking. Understand? For emphysema also cigarette smoking is a major reason. Bronchitis also, here this bronchi is widening or stretching. So here also the major reason cigarette smoking, right? So because of this certain symptoms they get, that is cough will be there and the shortness of breath will be there, and the sputum formation may form from this lungs. Sputum, have you got what is sputum? Okay, so that is those things will be produced from the lungs. So these are all the symptoms may occur because of this bronchitis, right? Okay, let us go for the next one. It is pneumonia. So of course pneumonia you may hear. Here the problem is infection. Pneumonia may cause because of this virus or bacteria. So there is an inflammation of lungs. So because of this infection, the lungs may go for inflammation. Inflammation means redness, pain, swelling will be there. That is known as inflammation, right? And so because of this also they will get the certain symptoms, that is sputum will be produced, then shortness of breath again, sore throat will be there, nasal congestion, blockages will be there in the nasal region. So these are all the symptoms may occur because of this, inflammation in the lungs. Have we got? Okay. Next one is tuberculosis. Also it is a well-known disease. Tuberculosis is caused by the bacteria is known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So here the symptoms we could say, and the fluid formations, the fluid will accumulate between the lungs. The fluid formation will be there. It is between the lungs. There's a collection of fluid between the lungs. So that's why they will get this a lot of complication for breathing. So that is known as tuberculosis. Mainly it is affecting these bones also, lungs as well as bones. That's why the persons may become very thin when they are affected with this tuberculosis. Right? Okay. Then the next one is very important, that is occupational respiratory disorders. Occupational respiratory disorders means, as we said already, occupational factors will be there to produce certain disorders, right? And especially as per the occupational sites, some disorders may occur for those workers who is working there, right? Especially we could say, the persons who is working in this construction site, they will grind the stones and all those things, right? And the persons who is working in the cotton industry, so in that air only they have to breathe. So it may lead to some kind of these problems there, right? And especially they said it is when they do such a works for a long time, long exposure. If they do such a kind of this works for a long time, it is leading to the fibrosis formation. So it may leads to inflammation and it is leading to this fibrosis formation. Okay, then silicosis, asbestosis, fibrosis, silicosis and asbestosis is the problems maker because of this occupational sites. Silicosis means the persons may breathe this silicon. Okay, silica. Okay, and silica they will get from this when they grind the sand, they will respire this in a silica substances and asbestos. So the respiratory tract will be affected because of these particles. Understand? So better they can wear the mask in the working site. So we can protect, the persons can protect them from these particles. Have we got? Okay. And one of the very important things we have to discuss here, the last topic, it is effect of smoking. Right? Effect of smoking. So smoking, of course we know now this in this environment or in a growing situation, those especially this teenagers or adult people are they becoming, even we could say even as a small children are becoming addicted with this some drugs and the smoking items, right? So that everyone knows now because of this situation where they are working or living, and they may become with this addict with the certain substances, and especially we could say it is smoking. So their mind is diverted now, right? Okay, anyhow, and because mainly we are going to talk about this smoking, and especially 80% of this lung cancer will be caused because of this smoking. Understand? So when they smoke, and they are smoking actually tobacco, so this tobacco burns there, right? So this tobacco consists of many poisonous substances, especially here written here they have given few: nicotine, tar, carbon monoxide, right? Ammonia, sulfur dioxide, arsenic. So these are all this very poisonous substances which is present in this tobacco. So when they smoke smoke, this tobacco burns and these substances will be released from this tobacco. Okay, and let us see what are the problems may occur because of this. Fine. So at first, carbon monoxide and nicotine is damaging this cardiovascular system. So cardiovascular means, cardio means heart, vascular means blood vessels. So heart and the blood vessel system will be damaged by this carbon monoxide and nicotine is the first one. Then tar, the substance which is present in the tobacco, tar is affecting this gas exchange. Especially the gas exchange is going on the two sides, the alveoli as well as the tissue we said, right? So this is affecting this gas exchange, right? Then Nicotine. Nicotine is a substance which is making the persons to be addicted with this tobacco. It is producing some addiction tendency. So, and it is increasing the heartbeat rate. So when the heartbeat rate is increasing and the blood pressure will increase, and this blood pressure also automatically increase, then it is leading to the coronary heart diseases. Coronary artery is nothing else. It is a very, very important artery, which is coronary artery. So coronary artery is going to supply the oxygenated blood to the heart. Heart is supplying the oxygenated to every parts of this body, but heart also need the oxygenated blood to function. So that oxygenated blood will be supplied by the coronary artery. So this nicotine will affect this coronary artery. So it leads to this coronary heart diseases, heart attack, stroke problems will be there, right? And it is leading to narrowing of blood vessels. The blood vessels, this space will reduce, that is narrowing. So the blood supply may become trouble. So there will be this, blood supply may become slow. So many problems may happen. Blockages will be there. So many problems will be there in the blood vessels also, right? So these are all the things which is because of this nicotine, right? Okay. And the next one is carbon monoxide. Again, it is reducing this oxygen binding capacity with the hemoglobin. So we know already oxygen will bind the hemoglobin in the heme particle, right? This carbon monoxide is reducing this binding capacity. So oxygen will not be, sufficient oxygen will not be supplied to the cells for its own function, right? So it is reducing the oxygen capacity, right? So these are all the problems may occur because of the smoking. And one more point they said here, and when the person smoke, the person who is smoking will consume 85% of the smoke. When they smoking, they will consume 85% of the smoke. Around 15% is left outside. So the persons who is surrounding them, that's what we said is the social factors. The persons who is surrounding them may consume this 15% of this smoke from the persons. So those persons also may get the chance to get this disease, right? So that is known as passive smokers. They are not using, but they will get it from the surrounding. So that is known as passive smokers, right? So let us see what are the diseases. Main diseases will be created because of this smoking, especially this cancer diseases and lung cancer and larynx and stomach, mouth, pancreas, urinary bladder. So in these sites there is a chance to create this cancerous diseases because of this smoking, right? And one more thing is there is this number of sperm. The production of the sperm may reduce. The sperm counting will reduce for male, right? So especially these are all the problems, major problems is there because of this smoking. Have we got? And one more thing, it is COPD. That is, the full form is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So which means, it is written as COPD. So which means, now we have discussed about the emphysema and bronchitis. Do you know? Emphysema means widening of alveoli. Bronchitis means widening of bronchi. Then asthma we said, right? So these three diseases together, when the person may get these three diseases together, it is known as a COPD. So here the problem is a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease means, chronic means not onset process, continuously it will make the obstructions, means certain blockages, restrictions will be there in this pulmonary related to lungs. So the pulmonary tract or respiratory tract, there will be this restriction, the passage of air will not be proper, right? So there will be the blockages, or there will be the restrictions will be there in this transport of the air there. So related to that, it will produce certain kind of diseases. So that is known as a COPD. Understand? Okay. And finally, anyhow, we could say the person has to change their personal habits to avoid this kind of diseases, especially smoking. So better counseling or advice, or we can direct them in a right path. So those things we have to give for those kind of those peoples to protect them and their neighbors and their surrounding from these harmful diseases, and to produce, to become as a better person, right? So that's all about our chapter, that is respiration. And so especially already for every session I said about the things whatever you have to learn from this each topic. And especially for today's class, we can go for this under this regulation of respiration, which is in the page number 131. So there is two scenarios there. It is chemical control as well as this nervous control. So what are the things is there for this nervous control, and what are the things is there for this chemical control? Especially chemical control, we could say aortic arc as well as carotid artery, right? So this may be asked as a 1 mark question, or regulation of respiration will be asked as a 5 mark question also. Okay. Then problems in oxygen transportation, and what is AMS? Acute mountain sickness, that will be asked as a 3 mark question. And what are the sicknesses will be there, and what is hematopoietic adjustment? Okay, hematopoietic adjustment means the kidney will produce erythropoietin. What is erythropoietin also they can ask. What is the role of this erythropoietin? It will induce the bone marrow to produce RBC cells to adjust for that situation. Okay, that is known as a hematopoietic adjustment. Then nitrogen narcosis already we said, right? And what is bends and decompression? So that also they can ask us a 3 mark questions. Fine. And what are the problems may occur for this scuba divers? And so these symptoms you can write. Then we can go on this disorders of the respiratory system. So whatever the disorder is there, and that we can have to learn, and the causative agent also, and symptoms also you can learn. Then occupational respiratory disorder is very important. What are the disorders may occur because of this occupational sites, so, and the reason, the particles which is related to that, so that you can learn. That is a silica and asbestos. So these things you can learn. Silicosis, asbestosis, and fibrosis is the problems may occur because of this, right? Okay. Then effect of smoking. Actually, this is very important area. Then effect of smoking also one of the very important thing. And what are the poisonous substance which is present in the tobacco you can write. And what are this diseases which is caused because of this tobacco, those things you can write. Then what is COPD, so that you can write. So these are all these things which is related to this disorders. Okay, so hope you are following me and you are covering the portions little by little at least. And we can meet in the next class with a new chapter. Okay, fine. Thank you.